equations, and you might want to check out a previous video that I did on how to solve equations with drawings. It'll help explain this abstract way of solving one-step equations that I'm going to show you now. But that way, it's a real concrete way showing with some drawings. And you can just use this QR code here. So hopefully that'll help you. But let's go on to looking at how to solve one-step equations. And we're going to do this again abstractly, and then we're also going to verify. So the first step is to write the equation. So my equation is x plus 5 equals 17. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to subtract 5 from each side. As I mentioned in my previous video, you need to do the same thing to both sides of the equation. And so if I subtract 5 from the left side, I need to subtract 5 from the right side to keep it balanced. And there's my zero pair. So now I have isolated or gotten the x by itself. So when I simplify, x equals 12. Now I want to verify to make sure that this is correct. So to verify it, we're going to check to see if x is the if x equals 12 is the actual solution to this equation. So again, I'm going to check it. I'm going to write my original equation, which is x plus 5 equals 17, and I'm going to replace the x with the 12. 12 plus 5 does indeed equal 17, so we say that it has been verified, so that 12 is the correct solution. Let's look at another example. In this one, we're going to write the equation x minus 7 equals 20. So here's a subtracting problem. And with this one, we're going to now add 7 to each side. Again, we want to make zero pairs so that we can isolate the x. By adding 7 to each side, I have my zero pair on the left side, so x is isolated. So x equals the sum of 20 and 7, which is 27. To verify this, we're going to write the original equation, x minus 7 equals 20. I'm going to replace my x with 27 because that's what I believe the solution to this equation is. And the difference between 27 and 7 is indeed 20. So this is verified. Now let's look at another type. For this, when we write the equation, it's a multiplication problem. 3 multiplied by x equals 21. So what we want to do is the inverse operation or the opposite of multiplying, which is dividing. So I'm going to divide each side by 3. That way I can get the x all by itself because 3 divided by 3 is 1. So when we simplify this, x equals 7 because the quotient of 21 and 3 is 7. To verify this, we're going to check to make sure 7 is actually the solution to this equation. So we write the original equation, 3x equals 21. I'm going to replace my x with 7. So 3 multiplied by 7 is indeed 21. So it is verified. Here's our last one. We're going to write this equation. Now this one I'm using a fraction. And remember, fractions are actually dividing, but I have 1/5 x equals 15. I need to think about what would x have to be that if I divide it by 5, it would be 15. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply each side by the reciprocal of 1/5, which is 5 over 1, or 5. And I can show it by putting 5 on each side. So remember, 5 multiplied by 1/5 is 1x. And when I simplify it, I get x equals, and the product of 15 and 5 is 75. Let's verify this. So we'll write the original equation, 1/5 x equals 15. And I have 1/5 multiplied by 75 equals 15. So I get 75 fifths. Remember, 1 multiplied by 75 is 75, and 5 multiplied by 1 is 5. I want you to think about this as 75 divided by 5 because remember, all fractions are our division, and 75 divided by 5 is 15. So it is verified. Actually, let's try one more. Okay, so I have 3/4 x equals 15. Similar to the last one, except you'll notice instead of it being like 1/4, my numerator is a 3. So we're still going to use the same way to solve it. It just is going to look a little bit different. So we multiply by the reciprocal, just like we did before. And the reciprocal of 3/4 is 4/3, where before the reciprocal of 1/5 was 5/1, which was a whole number 5. This is not a whole number, it is a fraction. So again, we multiply each side by 4/3. Remember, anything multiplied by its reciprocal is 1. So 4/3 multiplied by 3/4 is 1x. So I end up with 15 multiplied by 4 is 60 and over 3. So I have 60/3. And again, when we simplify this, remember I want you to think of what is 60 divided by 3, and that answer would be 20. Let's verify this to see that it works. And when we verify it, we write the original equation, 3/4 x equals 15. I'm going to replace again my x with 20. I believe 20 is the solution to the equation. And when I do this, I would say 3 multiplied by 20 is 60 divided by 4. And again, I want you to think of 60 divided by 4, and 60 divided by 4 is indeed 15. So it checks out. So it has been verified. I hope this helps. Again, this is an abstract way. These are one-step equations, and I hope you enjoyed it. My next video is going to be on two-step equations. So if this makes sense, you might want to check that one out next.